Your life is not hard because you lack talent. Your life is hard because you keep changing directions. Every time success gets difficult, you start over. New goals, new plans, new dreams, and every restart destroys your momentum. Winners are not the smartest people in the world. They are the people who stayed focused long after everyone else quit. Follow one course until success, not until boredom, not until distraction, until success. Chapter 1. Stop starting over. You keep restarting your life. That is the problem, not your lack of intelligence, not your lack of talent, not your lack of opportunity. Your addiction to starting over is destroying your future. Every few weeks, you create a new plan, a new goal, a new identity, a new routine. You get excited. You feel motivated. You convince yourself this time will be different. Then reality arrives. The work becomes repetitive. The excitement disappears. The progress slows down. The results become invisible. And what do? You quit. Then you restart again. Different dream. Same pattern. Listen carefully. Every restart resets your progress. Every time you abandon the mission, you go back to zero mentally, emotionally, and practically. You destroy momentum with your own hands. Most people are not failing because they picked the wrong path. They are failing because they refuse to stay on one path long enough to succeed. That is the truth. You do not need another strategy. You do not need another motivational video. You do not need another perfect plan. You need endurance. That is what you're missing. The modern world has trained you to worship novelty. New phone, new trend, new opportunity, new shortcut, new identity. Your brain has become addicted to stimulation. And because of that addiction, consistency feels uncomfortable. Repetition feels boring. Mastery feels slow. But understand this clearly. Boredom is part of greatness. The people who become extraordinary are not entertained every day. They repeat the same fundamentals over and over again until those fundamentals become power. The successful athlete repeats basic movements thousands of times. The successful entrepreneur solves the same problems every day. The successful creator produces content consistently long before recognition arrives. Repetition creates mastery, not excitement. Excitement is temporary. Discipline is permanent. You have spent too much of your life chasing emotional highs instead of building lasting habits. You work hard for 3 days. Disappear for 2 weeks. Come back inspired. Quit again when it gets difficult. That cycle is keeping you weak. Because success does not reward occasional intensity. It rewards sustained consistency. The truth is painful. You are not exhausted from working too hard. You are exhausted from constantly restarting. Every restart drains energy. Every restart creates self-doubt. Every restart teaches your mind that quitting is normal. And eventually, you stop trusting yourself. You start believing you are incapable of success. But the real issue is not capability. It is commitment. You leave too early. That business could have worked. That skill could have grown. That dream could have become reality. But you walked away before momentum had time to compound. Understand something powerful. Progress is invisible in the beginning. For a long time, it feels like nothing is happening. That is where most people quit. They need immediate proof, immediate rewards, immediate validation. But winners understand delayed results. Winners keep moving without applause. They keep showing up without guarantees. Because they know consistency eventually creates breakthroughs. You must train yourself to stay. Stay when it becomes repetitive. Stay when it becomes difficult. Stay when nobody notices your effort. Stay when the results are slow. Stay. Because every day you continue, you build strength most people never develop. Mental endurance. And mental endurance changes everything. The weak person depends on motivation. The strong person depends on structure. Stop asking yourself how you feel. Ask yourself what must be done. Feelings change every hour. Purpose does not. This is why focused people outperform talented people. Because focused people understand one thing. Small actions repeated daily become unstoppable force. Not dramatic effort, not random bursts of energy. Daily repetition. Again and again and again. You must become obsessed with staying consistent after the excitement dies. That is the real test. Anybody can start. Very few can continue. Anybody can feel inspired. Very few can stay disciplined. Anybody can announce goals. Very few can suffer long enough to achieve them. That is why average people stay average. They are addicted to restarting. They mistake preparation for progress. They mistake dreaming for doing. They mistake motion for commitment. But your life changes when you stop escaping discomfort. The moment you stop searching for easier paths, you become dangerous. Because now your energy is concentrated. Now your mind is stable. Now your habits are compounding. Now your identity is transforming. One direction, one mission, one focus. That is how powerful people are built. Not through constant reinvention, through relentless repetition. You do not need a new path. You need more endurance. Remember that sentence. You do not need a new path. You need more endurance. Because success is usually hiding behind the boredom most people refuse to tolerate. The moment you understand that, your entire life changes. You stop chasing excitement. You start building discipline. You stop restarting. You start finishing. And that is where real transformation begins. You have spent enough time starting over. Now it is time to stay long enough to win. You stopped worshiping new beginnings. Now it is time to eliminate distraction completely and focus your entire life force on one mission. Chapter 2. Choose one mission and remove everything else. Your problem is not lack of time. Your problem is divided focus. You're trying to build a powerful life while giving your attention to everything. Too many goals, too many distractions, too many unnecessary priorities. And every distraction is stealing energy from your future. Understand this clearly. Success requires concentration, not partial interest, not occasional effort, total focus. The people who change their lives become obsessed with one mission long enough for that mission to transform them. That is the difference. Average people dabble. Winners commit. Average people chase balance. Winners chase mastery. You cannot build something meaningful while constantly scattering your energy across 10 different directions. A distracted mind creates a distracted life. And most people today are mentally weak because they cannot sit still long enough to focus deeply on one thing. Every notification pulls them away. Every trend distracts them. Every opinion influences them. Their attention belongs to the world instead of their mission. That is dangerous, because where your focus goes, your life follows. If your attention goes toward distraction, your life becomes distraction. If your attention goes toward discipline, your life becomes progress. You must decide who controls your mind, you or the noise around you. Right now, too many people wake up without purpose. They scroll before they think, react before they plan, consume before they create, and then they wonder why they feel stuck. Because distracted people never build powerful lives. Focus is power. Read that again in your mind. Focus is power. The ability to lock onto one goal and ignore everything else is one of the rarest skills in the modern world. And because it is rare, it becomes valuable. Most people cannot do it. They want success, but they also want comfort. They want growth, but they also want entertainment. They want greatness, but they refuse sacrifice. That contradiction destroys them. Because greatness always demands elimination. You cannot carry every distraction into your future. Some habits must die. Some relationships must end. Some environments must be escaped. That is the price of transformation. And weak people avoid paying that price. They keep everybody comfortable while secretly destroying themselves. Listen carefully. Every yes to distraction is a no to your potential. Every hour wasted on meaningless activity delays the life you claim to want. And deep down, you already know what is wasting your time. You know the habits. You know the excuses. You know the people draining your energy. But discipline requires courage. The courage to remove what no longer serves the mission. This is where your life changes. The moment your mission becomes more important than temporary pleasure, your future begins accelerating. Because now your energy is aligned. Now your actions have direction. Now your days have structure. Now your life stops leaking power. One mission, that is all you need. Not 5 plans, not 10 dreams. One clear target. And once you choose that target, protect it with your life. Protect your attention. Protect your mornings. Protect your habits. Protect your standards. Because distracted people stay average forever. Look at high performers in any field. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders. They all share one trait. Obsession. Not interest. Obsession. They think about the mission constantly. They organize their lives around it. They sacrifice comfort for it. They repeat the work long after motivation disappears. That level of focus separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. You must stop treating your goals like hobbies. Hobbies are optional. Your mission is not. Your mission should shape your schedule, shape your routines, shape your decisions. Everything either helps the mission or hurts it. There is no neutral. And this is where many people fail. They say they want success, but their daily actions say otherwise. Their habits are weak. Their environment is chaotic. Their priorities are confused. You cannot create a focused future while living a distracted lifestyle. Discipline is not built accidentally. It is designed intentionally. That means creating structure. Wake up with purpose. Work with intensity. Remove unnecessary noise. Repeat the process daily. Again and again and again. Not when you feel inspired. Every day. Because consistency under structure creates momentum. And momentum changes identity. At first, discipline feels painful. But eventually, discipline becomes freedom. Freedom from confusion. Freedom from weakness. Freedom from wasted years. You stop reacting emotionally. You start operating strategically. That is when your confidence grows. Not from talking, from evidence. Every disciplined action sends a message to your mind. I'm becoming someone stronger. That identity shift is powerful. Because once you become disciplined internally, external results eventually follow. Money changes. Health changes. Opportunities change. Your entire life changes. All because you learn to focus. Most people will never experience this transformation because they refuse to simplify their lives. They keep chasing everything and achieving nothing. But you are different now. You understand the truth. One focused year can completely change your future. One disciplined season can separate you from the person you used to be. But only if you commit fully. Not halfway. Not occasionally. Completely. So choose your mission. Then remove everything that weakens your commitment to it. Remove the distractions. Remove the excuses. Remove the divided focus. And once you choose your path, stop looking sideways. Because where your focus goes, your life follows. Remember that. Where your focus goes, your life follows. You stop restarting your life. You learn to focus your energy onto one mission. Now you must develop the final skill most people never master. The ability to endure long enough to see the reward. Chapter 3. Stay long enough to win. Most people quit too early. That is the truth. They quit before the breakthrough. Quit before the growth. Quit before the reward finally appears. Not because success was impossible. Because the process became uncomfortable. And weak minds always run from discomfort. Listen carefully. The hardest phase of every journey is the invisible phase. The phase where you work every day and nothing seems to happen. The phase where progress feels slow. The phase where effort appears unrewarded. That is where most people disappear. Because human beings crave evidence. They want immediate results, immediate proof, immediate validation. But success does not work that way. Real success grows silently, like roots underground. For a long time, you see nothing. No applause, no recognition, no dramatic change. Just repetition, discipline, sacrifice, again and again and again. Most people cannot tolerate that silence, so they quit. And the moment they quit, they destroy all accumulated momentum. That is why endurance is rare. Anybody can start when they feel motivated. Very few people can continue when motivation dies. That is the real test. Can you keep moving without emotional rewards? Can you stay committed when nobody notices your effort? Can you continue when doubt enters your mind? Because that is the moment your character is revealed. Not during easy seasons, during painful ones. You must understand this clearly. Temporary failure does not mean the mission is wrong. Read that again in your mind. Temporary failure does not mean the mission is wrong. Sometimes progress is happening internally before it becomes visible externally. Your discipline is growing. Your patience is growing. Your mental strength is growing, even when external results are delayed. But weak people misinterpret delay as defeat. That is why they stop too soon. They plant seeds and dig them up every week looking for growth. That is not how success works. You must stay planted long enough for your efforts to compound. And compounding changes everything. Small daily actions become massive outcomes over time. One workout becomes transformation. One skill becomes mastery. One disciplined year becomes a completely different life. But only if you stay consistent long enough. This is why persistence is more powerful than talent. Talented people quit every day. Focused people keep going. And eventually, persistence defeats natural ability. Because time rewards endurance, not emotion. You must train yourself to survive difficult seasons without abandoning the mission. That means continuing when you feel tired. Continuing when you feel uncertain. Continuing when you feel discouraged. Not because it is easy, because it is necessary. Most people allow emotions to control decisions. That is dangerous, because emotions are temporary. One bad day convinces them to quit. One failure convinces them they are incapable. One obstacle convinces them the dream is impossible. But disciplined people think differently. They understand that pain is part of the process. Rejection is part of the process. Loneliness is part of the process. Slow progress is part of the process. Nothing meaningful is built without struggle. Nothing. The people you admire suffered more than you realize. They faced doubt, criticism, failure, exhaustion, but they stayed. That is why they won. Because the person who lasts the longest usually succeeds. Not the loudest person, not the fastest person, the most enduring person. And endurance is built through repetition. You wake up and continue. You fail and continue. You feel discouraged and continue. That word matters. Continue. Because every time you refuse to quit, you become mentally stronger. Every difficult day survived increases your capacity. And eventually, what once felt impossible becomes normal. That is how transformation happens. Not overnight. Through accumulated resilience. This is why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation disappears under pressure. Discipline survives pressure. Motivation depends on feelings. Discipline depends on standards. And standards create stability. When your standards become strong enough, quitting is no longer an option. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop asking, "Do I feel like doing this today?" Instead, You ask, who am I becoming if I continue? That question changes everything. Because persistence creates identity. Every day you endure, you prove something to yourself. You prove that your commitment is real. You prove that discomfort cannot control you. You prove that you are becoming stronger than your excuses. That inner confidence cannot be purchased. It is earned through endurance. Most people never experience this level of transformation because they keep escaping difficult seasons. But difficult seasons are where powerful people are built. Pressure creates strength. Resistance creates growth. Persistence creates winners. Never forget that. Persistence creates winners. So when the process becomes boring, continue. When progress feels invisible, continue. When doubt enters your mind, continue. Because your future is being shaped in those moments. The weak stop. The focus continue. And over time, the gap becomes massive. One person quits and restarts endlessly. The other stays committed long enough to become unstoppable. That second person must become you. No more distractions. No more restarting. No more quitting during hard seasons. You now understand the truth most people never learn. Follow one course until success. Not until boredom. Not until difficulty. Not until doubt. Until success. That is the difference between average people and powerful people. Average people stop when it hurts. Powerful people continue until they win. Most people will spend their entire lives changing directions. New goals every month. New dreams every year. They will confuse movement with progress and distraction with opportunity. But you're different now. You understand the truth. Success does not belong to the fastest person. It belongs to the person who refused to stop. The person who stayed committed when it became boring. The person who kept working when nobody noticed. The person who followed one course until success. So from this moment forward, stop restarting your life. Stop chasing every new idea. Stop abandoning your future every time the process becomes difficult. Choose your mission. Lock in. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. Stay patient. And keep going until your results become impossible to ignore. One mission, one direction, one obsession, one outcome, success. Now get to work.